You've been told that wealth is about money, that abundance is a bank balance, a car in the driveway, or a number on a screen. But what if I told you that's the smallest part of it? Wealth is not a thing you chase. It's not a trophy you win. Wealth is an energy you align with. And the moment you understand this, truly understand that everything you thought you knew about money begins to shift. Bob Proctor once said, "You don't get rich by doing certain things. You get rich by doing things in a certain way. That certain way is not about luck, nor about working yourself into the ground. It's about stepping into a mental frequency where wealth can find you, where abundance becomes inevitable because you are no longer resisting it." The truth is, most people live in a constant state of scarcity, not because there isn't enough money in the world, but because their thinking has been trained to see limitation. They wake up worrying about what they lack. They go to sleep replaying everything they couldn't afford, and in between, they feed their mind with conversations and thoughts that reinforce the same story: there's never enough. Here's the problem. The mind doesn't simply record your thoughts, it creates from them. When you think scarcity, you feel scarcity. When you feel scarcity, you act from scarcity. And when you act from scarcity, you produce results that confirm it. That's the loop you've been in. Bob Proctor called it the paradigm, the mental program built over years that controls almost every decision you make. It's not just your conscious thoughts, it's the deep, often invisible conditioning that decides how much money you think you can. What you believe is possible for you, and whether you feel worthy of having more. So if you want to start creating wealth in abundance today, not next year, not when the economy improves, you must start by doing something most people never even think of. Change your paradigm, and that begins with awareness. Take a hard look at the results in your life right now. Your bank account, your debts, the opportunities you take, and the ones you reject before they even reach you. Those results are not random. They are a perfect mirror of your current paradigm. And until that internal program changes, your external results can't. Now, here's where most people get it wrong. They think the answer is to work harder, pick up extra hours, take on more jobs, and yes, hard work has its place. But have you noticed how some people work themselves to exhaustion yet never break out of financial struggle, while others seem to move effortlessly from one opportunity to the next? The difference is not in effort, it's in vibration. Bob Proctor explained that everything in the universe moves, vibrates, and operates on a frequency. Money is no exception. Abundance is no exception. And you, right now, are operating on a frequency too. That frequency is determined by your thoughts, feelings, and beliefs. When your vibration matches the vibration of abundance, money flows to you in ways that often seem unbelievable unless you understand the law behind it. Think about it. You've probably had moments in your life where something just lined up. The right person showed up at the right time, the right opportunity seemed to fall into your lap. The coincidence was so perfect you couldn't explain it logically. That wasn't luck, it was alignment. You were in a state that allowed you to receive. The challenge is, most people only reach that state by accident when something makes them feel inspired, confident, or optimistic for a short while. But to create real wealth, you must learn to live in that frequency intentionally. You must train your mind to hold the vibration of abundance even when your current circumstances show the opposite. And this is where your transformation begins today. Here's your first task, and it's deceptively simple. Stop speaking scarcity. Stop rehearsing lack in your conversations. If you catch yourself saying, "I can't afford this," or "I'm broke," stop. Replace it with something that affirms abundance. Like, "I'm in the process of creating the resources for this," or "money flows to me in increasing amounts." Bob Proctor put it this way: if you see it in your mind, you will hold it in your hand. That's not wishful thinking, it's how your subconscious mind works. It doesn't know the difference between reality and imagination. It takes the pictures you hold consistently and works to make them real. So what pictures have you been holding? Are you visualizing bills piling up? Or are you seeing yourself in control, calm, with more than enough? Are you imagining the struggle continuing, or the moment you breathe freely because you've stepped into financial flow? The mind is like a magnet. It doesn't attract what you want, it attracts what you are. And what you are is determined by your dominant thoughts and emotion. That's why if you've been stuck for years, it's not because you're unlucky, it's because your inner state hasn't changed. But you can change it, and you can start today. I'm not talking about forcing yourself to be positive while ignoring your reality. I'm talking about making a conscious decision to focus on possibilities instead of limitation, to create a new mental pattern that aligns with the wealth you. This is the foundation of the shift. Without it, any strategy, investment, or business plan will eventually fail because the paradigm will pull you back to where it's comfortable. Bob Proctor used to say that the moment you make a committed decision to change, your life begins to rearrange itself to match that decision. That's the moment doors open. Conversations happen, and ideas appear that you never noticed before. But that decision must be real-lit. Can't be a half-hearted wish. It's a line in the sand. Right now, as you hear these words, you can draw that line. You can decide that from this day on, you will no longer feed the scarcity. You will no longer give your energy the story that there's not enough. You will shift your vibration toward abundance even before you see the proof in your life. Because the truth is, the proof comes after the decision, not before it. And if you're ready to step into that, to start creating wealth and abundance today, then the next thing you need to understand is how to plant the right images in your subconscious mind so deeply that they override years of programming and pull you toward opportunities that match your new vibration. If your conscious mind is the captain of the ship, your subconscious mind is the ocean beneath it, vast and far more powerful. The conscious mind can decide where it wants to go, but the subconscious controls the currents. And if those currents are set in the opposite direction of your goal, no amount of conscious effort will get you there. Bob Proctor often said, you can't escape a prison if you don't know you're in one. The prison he was talking about is a set of beliefs and mental patterns you've accepted without question. Many of them formed when you were too young to evaluate whether they were true. Maybe you grew up hearing money doesn't grow on trees, or rich people are greedy, or we can't afford that. Those words didn't just disappear, they became part of your operating system. The subconscious mind doesn't analyze, it doesn't filter, it simply accepts repeated ideas as truth. And once an idea is accepted as truth, it shapes your behavior to match it automatically without you even realizing it. That's why people can consciously want wealth, yet sabotage every opportunity to get it. They're running a subconscious program that says, this isn't for me. The key to creating wealth and abundance, starting today, is not to fight your subconscious, it's to reprogram it. And the first step in that reprogramming is understanding its language. The subconscious mind doesn't speak in logic or reason. It speaks in pictures, emotions, and repetition. It responds to vivid imagery and the feelings those images generate. If you say, I want to be rich, but the picture in your mind is filled with doubt, fear, or memories of past failure, the subconscious will keep producing results that match the feeling, not the words. That's why Bob Proctor taught the power of visualization not as a feel-good exercise, but as a way to plant new images so deeply that they become the dominant program. He would say, if you can hold it in your head, you can hold it in your hand. But the holding must be consistent, emotional, and alive, not a vague daydream you visit once. Here's how you start. Every date, preferably in the morning, before your mind fills with the noise of the world close your eyes and build a scene in your imagination of the life you want to live. See the details, the home, the freedom, the work you love, the ease in your relationships with money. But don't just see it, feel it. What would it be like to wake up and know you have more than enough, to make decisions without fear, to give generously because you know it always comes back? When you do this, you're not escaping reality, you're creating it. The subconscious will begin to accept this new image as the truth. And because it controls your habitual behavior, it will begin guiding you subtly but powerfully toward action, decisions, and opportunities that match the. This is where repetition becomes non-negotiable. You can't visualize once and expect transformation. The old paradigm wasn't built in a day, it was built over years of repetition. You must replace it the same way. Bob Proctor would often remind his students that repetition is the mother of all learning. The more you repeat a thought, the deeper it sinks. The deeper it sinks, the more it takes root. And when it takes root, it bears fruit in your physical results. But repetition alone is not enough. Need emotion. The subconscious responds most powerfully to feeling. That's why fear can override reason. So is Eliot's highly emotional. To replace fear of lack with the vibration of abundance, you must give your new images emotional fuel. Gratitude is one of the most potent fuels you can. Every time you visualize, attach gratitude to it, not for what's coming, but as if it's already here. Bob Proctor taught that gratitude is a powerful creative force because it places you in harmony with the good you desire. When you feel grateful for something you haven't yet seen in the physical world, you are telling your subconscious, this is real, this is mine. And the subconscious will begin aligning your behavior to make it so. Here's an exercise you can start today. Write down your vision in the present. Not, I will earn $10,000 a month, but I earn $10,000 a month doing work I love. Read it out loud, morning and night. Feel the truth of it as you say it. Visualize while you speak. See yourself in that reality. Express gratitude. Say, I'm so happy and grateful now that this is my life. If you do this daily, you are not hoping for change, you are programming it. Some people will hear this and dismiss it as unrealistic. They'll say, I need the money now. I can't just sit here imagining. But here's the truth I've already been imagining. They've been imagining debt, imagining loss, imagining rejection, and their subconscious has been creating results to match. The only difference now is that you are choosing what you imagine. Reprogramming your subconscious is not about ignoring the bills on your desk. It's about refusing to let those bills become the only picture you hold. It's about deciding that your current reality is not your final reality. Bob Proctor often said, you were born rich. You have everything you need, anything you want. The wealth he spoke of was first in your mind and your ability to think, to imagine, to choose your thoughts. Money is just one of the many forms that inner wealth can take once you align with it. And this alignment is not passive, it demands that you act. But the actions will feel different because they are guided by belief instead of fear. When your subconscious believes you are abundant, you naturally make decisions that expand you. You take opportunities you would have rejected before. You invest in yourself without the old panic. You carry yourself differently, and the world responds differently. So, understand this. Your subconscious is always listening. Every word you speak about money, every image you hold, every emotion you repeat, all programming. The question is, are you programming it for scarcity or abundance? If you want to start creating wealth and abundance today, make the decision that every conversation, every mental picture will now reinforce your new reality. Guard your mind like you would guard a treasure because it is one. And as your subconscious begins to shift, something remarkable will happen. Opportunities that were always around you, but invisible, will begin to stand out. You'll notice connections, ideas, and resources that match your vision. You'll feel a pull toward things that once seemed intimidating. That's not magic. That's alignment. But to take advantage of these opportunities, you must also understand the law that governs how money comes to you. The law that Bob Proctor called the law of compensation. Once you grasp it, you'll see that money is not a mystery. It's a direct reflection of your value and service. The law of compensation is one of the clearest, most empowering truths you can learn about money. Bob Proctor explained it simply. The amount of money you earn will always be in direct proportion to the need for what you do, your ability to do it, and the difficulty there is in replacing. Most people think money is tied to time, that if they want more, they must work more hours. But the law of compensation reveals something far more liberating. Money is tied to value, not time. If you want more money, you must increase the value you provide not just to one person, but to as many people as possible. Let's break it down. The first factor is the need for what you do. Ask yourself, does what you offer solve a real problem? Is it something people genuinely want or need? If your work meets a need that is deep, urgent, and widespread, the potential for compensation increases dramatically. The problem is, most people never take time to assess whether their current work is meeting a real need or if it's just a habit they've settled in. The second factor is your ability to do it. This is where skill comes in. Bob Proctor would often challenge people to become masters of their craft. Mediocrity doesn't command high compensation. Mastery does. And mastery doesn't happen by accident. It's the result of intentional, focused improvement over time. You can double your income not by doubling your hours, but by doubling your skill and effectiveness. The third factor is the difficulty there is in replacing you. This isn't about ego, it's about uniqueness. If anyone can do what you do with the same results, your value is limited. But if you bring a unique combination of skills, personality, and insight, you become rare, and rare is valuable. This doesn't mean you must invent something entirely new. It means you must develop yourself in such a way that the way you deliver value is distinctly yours. When you put these three together, high demand, high skill, high uniqueness, you create a situation where wealth becomes a natural byproduct of your work. Now, here's where most people miss the point. They hear this, but they don't apply it because they're stuck in a fixed paradigm about what they do for a living. They believe their income is set by their job description or their industry average. But the law of compensation doesn't care about job titles. It cares about value. You can increase your compensation dramatically without changing your field, simply by shifting how you deliver value. Bob Proctor used to say, don't wait for opportunity. Create it. If you know your work meets a real need and you commit to becoming exceptional at it, and you do it in a way no one else can replicate, you create opportunities for wealth no matter where you start. But there's another layer to this law that most people overlook. It works best when your service comes from genuine desire to help. Why? Because when your motivation is rooted in service, you naturally put in the kind of effort and attention that produces excellence. And excellence is magnetic. It draws people, referrals, and opportunities to you. If you approach the law of compensation from a purely transactional mindset, doing just enough to get paid, it will reflect in your results. But if you pour yourself into delivering more than expected, you shift the vibration of your work. Bob Proctor would put it like this: always give more than you get, and you'll always get more than you need. So how do you start applying this today? First, take inventory of your current work or business. Ask yourself, does it meet a real, valuable need? Am I operating at the highest level of my ability, or could I develop my skills further? What can I do to become irreplaceable in the way I serve? Be brutally honest in your answer. If you find gaps, don't see them as weaknesses, see them as your roadmap to greater abundance. Every gap you close increases your value, and every increase in value raises your earning potential. Second, find ways to scale your value. You can meet a need for one person, or you can meet it for 100, 1,000, or 1 million. The more people your value reaches, the greater your potential compensation. This doesn't mean you have to work harder. It means you have to work smarter. Leverage systems, platforms, and collaborations that allow your skill and service to reach further than your physical presence can. Third, commit to being excellent in the small things. Excellence isn't just about big breakthroughs, it's about how you handle every interaction. Every detail, every commitment. When people experience your work as consistently excellent, they begin to trust you. And trust is the foundation for lasting wealth. And here's a truth that often surprises people. When you operate by the law of compensation, money becomes the side effect, not the obsession. Your focus shifts to serving more people at a higher level, and as you, the money flows naturally. That's why Bob Proctor insisted that you fall in love with what you do. Passion fuels persistence, and persistence fuels mastery. But there's a mental trap you must avoid if you want to see this law work fully in your life. The trap of comparison. Looking at someone else's results and thinking it's easier for them, or they started with more, will kill your momentum. Why? Because it shifts your focus away from your own growth and toward a vibration of resentment or envy. The law of compensation works in harmony with the law of attraction. If you vibrate in lack, you will attract lack no matter how much value you provide. Instead, when you see someone succeeding, let it expand your belief about what's possible. Say to yourself, if they can do it, so can I, and I'll find my own way to do it. Now, this brings us to a deeper understanding of abundance. Compensation is not just about money. It's about the flow of opportunities, relationships, and ideas that come into your life. If you think of wealth only as currency, you miss the truth that the right connection can be worth more than a paycheck. The right idea can change your life faster than a bonus, and the right timing can multiply everything. To stay in this flow, you must keep your vibration high, not just when things are going well, but especially when challenges come. This is where many people stop. They do the work, raise their value, see some progress, and then life throws a setback their way. They let that setback convince them the law doesn't work. But the truth is, the law is always working. It's your response to the setback that decides whether you stay in alignment or drop out of it. Bob Proctor would often remind his students, the only limits in our lives are the ones we impose on ourselves. The law of compensation doesn't stop because of a bad month, a slow season, or a mistake. If you keep providing value, keep growing, and keep your vibration aligned with abundance, the flow will resume, and often it comes back stronger. So now you understand that creating wealth today is not about waiting for luck, but about aligning yourself with the law that governs compensation. But there's another piece of the puzzle, one that determines whether you hold on to the wealth you create or watch it slip through your fingers. That's where we're headed next. How to develop the mindset and habits that make wealth sustainable so it grows instead of disappearing. Creating wealth is one thing. Keeping it, growing it, and living in a constant state of abundance is another. Many people experience brief moments of financial breakthrough, a big sale, a sudden opportunity, an unexpected windfall, only to watch it vanish as quickly as it can. They believe the problem is bad luck, bad timing, or external circumstances. But in reality, the biggest reason people lose wealth is that their mindset has not caught up to their results. Bob Proctor taught that your results are always a reflection of your level of consciousness. If your consciousness is still programmed for scarcity, you can temporarily find yourself in possession of more money, but your habits, decisions, and emotional patterns will eventually pull you back to the level you believe is normal for you. This is why lottery winners so often return to their old financial state within a few years without a shift in awareness. The new wealth cannot be sustained. Wealth sustainability begins in the mind long before it is seen in the bank. You must train yourself to think, feel, and act like someone who is in harmony with abundance, not just in moments of success, but in everyday life. This requires discipline, and discipline is not about restriction. It's about conscious choice. Bob Proctor described discipline as giving yourself a command and then following it. That's all. It's the ability to decide who you want to be and to act in alignment with that decision, even when the old paradigm tries to pull you back. One of the first disciplines to develop is the habit of circulation. Money, like energy, must move to stay alive. If you hoard it out of fear, you communicate scarcity to your subconscious. If you spend recklessly without intention, you break the cycle of growth. The key is to keep money moving in ways that expand your life and the lives of others. This doesn't mean being careless, it means being purposeful. When you spend, do it with gratitude, knowing you are part of the flow of abundance. When you invest, do it with confidence, understanding that money is a servant, not a master. When you give, do it with joy, knowing that giving activates receiving. Bob Proctor would often say, the more you give, the more you get. But the giving he spoke of was not a mechanical transaction, it was an act of alignment. When you give from fear, hoping to buy a return, you are still in scarcity. When you give from the awareness that there is more than enough, you affirm abundance and open the door for it. Another crucial discipline is managing your environment. Your mindset is shaped by the people, conversations, and information you surround yourself with. If your environment constantly reinforces limitation, people complaining about the economy, media stories about crises, conversations about lack, you will find it difficult to hold the vibration of abundance. You must become intentional about what you allow into your mind. Bob Proctor was relentless about this. He guarded his mental space with the same care someone would guard a treasure vault. He chose books, mentors, and conversations that lifted his vision higher, not ones that dragged it down. This doesn't mean you ignore reality. It means you refuse to feed your mind with the kind of reality you do not want to create. When challenges arise, you acknowledge them, but you focus your energy on solutions, growth, and possibility. This is how you keep your frequency tuned to abundance, even in difficult times. The third discipline is continuous growth. Wealth is not a destination. If you stop growing, your wealth stops growing. This growth is not only about acquiring new skills in your work. It's also about expanding your capacity to receive. Many people unconsciously reject opportunities because they don't feel ready, worthy, or capable. They say they want more, but when more knocks on the door, they hesitate, delay, or say no. To prevent this, make personal growth a non-negotiable habit. Read daily, learn from people who are where you want to be. Challenge yourself to take on projects that stretch your abilities. Bob Proctor often emphasized the importance of setting goals that are far beyond what you currently know how to achieve. Not to create stress, but to force growth. When you aim for something that scares you a little, you activate parts of your mind and creativity that would otherwise remain dormant. And here's a truth about sustaining wealth that is often overlooked. You must learn to enjoy it. If you create abundance but never allow yourself to feel the joy of it, you are still operating from a scarcity mindset. Scarcity says, I can't celebrate. What if it disappears? Abundance says, I celebrate because I trust there's more coming. Enjoying wealth doesn't mean reckless. Spending it means allowing yourself to experience the freedom, experiences, and opportunities that wealth provides without guilt. If you feel guilt for having more than others, you will unconsciously push it away. Bob Proctor reminded his students often, you can't help the poor by being one of them. By enjoying your abundance and continuing to grow it, you put yourself in a position to create greater impact. Now, sustaining wealth also requires understanding the cycles of flow. There will be times when money and opportunities seem to flood in, and there will be quieter seasons. Both are natural. The mistake people make is panicking in the quiet seasons and shifting into fear, which chokes the flow. Instead, see these times as moments to prepare, refine, and deepen your vision so you are ready when the next wave comes. If you can hold your vibration of abundance steady during the slower periods, you will find that each new wave of opportunity grows larger than the last. This is not optimism, it's alignment with the way universal laws operate. Finally, sustainability requires faith. Not blind faith, but faith grounded in understanding. Faith that the laws Bob Proctor taught are as reliable as gravity. Faith that your commitment to providing value, living in gratitude, and aligning with abundance will continue to produce results, even if you can't yet see how. Bob Proctor's own journey was proof of this. He went from being in debt with no formal education to building an extraordinary life of wealth and service. And when people asked him how he did it, he would always come back to the same truth. It's not about the money, it's about the mindset. If you take care of the mindset, the money will take care of itself. And now, there's one final piece to complete this framework, the deep. Unshakable self-image that makes wealth not just something you achieve, but something you embody. When you see yourself as the kind of person who naturally lives in abundance, everything else becomes easy. If your subconscious mind is the soil where abundance grows, your self-image is the climate that determines whether it thrives or withers. You can plant the best seeds, new beliefs, powerful habits, a vision of wealth, but if your self-image is out of alignment with abundance, those seeds will never reach their full potential. Bob Proctor was clear on this. You will never outperform yourself. You cannot consistently create results that are higher than the way you see yourself. If you see yourself as someone who struggles, you will sabotage success to match that picture. If you see yourself as average, you will unconsciously keep your results within the limits of average, no matter how much potential you have. So if you want wealth and abundance to not only arrive but stay, you must create a self-image that matches the life you desire. That means you stop seeing abundance as something out there you're chasing and start seeing it as part of who you are. Changing your self-image begins with awareness. Ask yourself, how do I truly see myself when it comes to money? Do I believe I'm the kind of person who can earn and manage wealth? Do I feel worthy of abundance? Or do I still feel like I have to deserve it first? Your answers might surprise you. Many people discover that they've been holding on to subtle but powerful beliefs, like I'm not good with money, or I'm just not the type who gets rich. These beliefs act like thermostats no matter how much heat income you generate. Your self-image will cool you back down to the temperature it's set at. The good news is, you can reset that thermostat. Bob Proctor taught that your self-image is built from the ideas you have about yourself. And those ideas can be replaced the same way they were formed, through repetition and emotion. This is where affirmation work becomes more than just words. It's not enough to say, I am wealthy, if you don't feel it. You must pair the words with mental images of you living in abundance and with the feelings of confidence, security, and joy that come with it. Here's a method Bob Proctor often encouraged. Write out your new self-image as if it already exists. Describe yourself in detail the way you think, act, and feel as a wealthy, abundant person. Read it every morning and night, not mechanically, but with emotion. See yourself living it. Act as if during the day. This doesn't mean pretending you have money you don't. It means making decisions from the perspective of someone who is abundant. You might walk with more confidence, speak with more certainty, or approach challenges with more creativity. Every time you act in alignment with your desired self-image, you reinforce it. Over time, this becomes natural, and your results begin to rise to match it. One of Bob Proctor's most powerful insights was that your outer world is a mirror of your inner world. If you want to know your current self-image, look at your life. Your relationships with money, opportunities, and even challenges all reflect the way you see yourself. This is why people who suddenly acquire wealth without shifting their self-image often lose it. They're still operating from an internal blueprint that doesn't match their reality. It feels uncomfortable, so they unconsciously take actions to return to what feels familiar. To make abundance permanent, you must make it familiar. That's the role of self-image work. When being abundant feels as natural as breathing, you no longer fear losing it because it's simply who you are. And this brings us to another truth Bob Proctor lived by. You are a spiritual being having a human experience. Your true nature is limitless. Money, opportunities, and resources are just physical expressions of the infinite potential within you. When you see yourself from this perspective, scarcity becomes impossible because you understand that the source of abundance is not your job, your investments, or the economy. The source is you. This is the mindset shift that locks abundance in place. You stop chasing wealth and start being wealth. You stop worrying about whether money will come and start trusting that it's already flowing toward you. You stop defining yourself by your current results and start defining yourself by your vision. From this place, the decisions you make are entirely different. You don't shrink your goals to match your current resources, you expand your resources to match your goals. You don't hesitate when opportunities appear, you recognize them as natural steps in the path you heal already on. And perhaps most importantly, you don't just keep abundance for yourself, you expand it for others. Bob Proctor often reminded his students that true wealth is not measured only by what you accumulate, but by the difference you make. When your self-image includes being a giver, a contributor, and a source of value, your abundance multiplies because you are in perfect harmony with the law of circulation. So, as we bring this journey together, here's the truth. You can start creating wealth and abundance today, not because of luck. Not because you suddenly discover a hidden shortcut, but because you now understand the laws that govern it. how to reprogram your subconscious. You know how to align with the law of compensation. You know how to keep the flow steady through discipline, gratitude, and conscious choice. And now you know how to make it permanent by building a self-image that lives in abundance naturally. If you commit to this not as a quick fix, but as a way of life, you'll discover what Bob Proctor discovered, that wealth is not something you get, it's something you grow into. And when you grow into it fully, it can never be taken from you because it's not just in your bank account. It's in your mind, your heart, and your way of being. So the question now is not whether you can create abundance, it's whether you will. Will you choose today to step into the version of yourself who already lives in harmony with wealth? Will you see yourself as the source, not the seeker? Because the moment you decide that, your life begins to rearrange itself in ways you could never predict but will always be grateful for. And as Bob Proctor would say, if you can see it in your mind, you can hold it in your hand. The only thing standing between you and the life you want is the decision to start living it now.